July 17, 2014, noon, Amsterdam Airport, Netherlands. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH17 is waiting to take off at the airport. The direct flight is a Boeing 777. The direct flight route is Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. There are 283 passengers and 15 crew members on board. 15 crew members. The captain of this flight is Zhu Renlong. He has been with Malaysia Airlines for 24 years. He has a lot of experience in flying. It can be said to be a veteran of the aircraft. The co-pilot is a newcomer who just joined the company. This is also the usual method of Malaysia Airlines to head the new method. At 12:14, Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was cleared for takeoff by the tower. It took off from runway 23 at Amsterdam Airport. It was heading for the blue sky towards its destination of Kuala Lumpur. If all goes well, they will arrive in Malaysia in about 12 hours. Kuala Lumpur International Airport. This is the beginning of the summer holidays, so parents are working away from work planning where to take their children to travel. So of the 283 passengers on the plane, about 80 of them were students who were still in school. The 2-hour flight has gone by. The plane entered the airspace of eastern Ukraine, according to the original plan. When the plane arrived over Ukraine, the plane's cruising altitude was to be increased from the current 33,000 feet to 35,000 feet. Also for this time, the skies over Ukraine are very busy. Russian-backed armed separatist forces are at war with the Ukrainian government here. The planes are flying at 35,000 feet. So that the military conflict in eastern Ukraine, the technology of civil aviation, but in such a volatile situation, Ukraine and Russia cooperation in civil aviation has not stopped. There are still 62 bold airlines choose to continue to fly over Ukraine. Among them is Malaysia Airlines, which can also be considered as a trend of interest because the shortest distance from here is more economical. Otherwise it would be a big detour. It may also delay the arrival of the plane. 3:53 p.m. Ukrainian Air Traffic Control advised Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 to follow the original plan to ascend to 35,000 feet, but the crew of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 refused ATC's advice and remained at 33,000 feet. At 4:01 p.m. the pilot observed a thunderstorm cloud in front of the plane. The presence of thunderstorm clouds could seriously affect the aircraft's flight. In order to avoid this thunderstorm cloud, the crew contacted ground air traffic control. After explaining what the aircraft was experiencing, requested a 32-kilometer deviation to the left. This request was approved by ATC. 4:19 p.m. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 is about to enter Russian airspace. Ukrainian Air Traffic Control then contacted Russian Air Traffic Control requesting that Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 be diverted into Russian territory. Russian Air Traffic Control said allowed Malaysia Airlines 17 to fly directly to the R&D radar navigation point, but after a while, just before Ukrainian Air Traffic Control was about to inform Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 preparing to hand over control, a strange scene appeared. Ukrainian and Russian air traffic controllers were surprised to see Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 suddenly disappeared from the radar. They immediately called Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, but there was no response, and just at that moment, in the fields of eastern Ukraine, a farmer working in the fields of eastern Ukraine noticed there was a lot of debris falling from the sky. That's right, these were the pieces of Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. The plane had been blown up beyond recognition. The wreckage of the plane was all around and it spread over a very wide area. Obviously, Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 had disintegrated before it hit the ground. All 283 people on board and the 15 crew members were killed. The news instantly became a global sensation. Some countries began to blame each other, Ukraine saying that Russia let the militants shoot down the plane, and Russia denied it 10 times, saying that Ukraine was the one who started it. Everyone is trying to shift the blame for this inhumane act on the other side, Ukraine, in a show of good faith, to remove its connection to the case. It gave the lead in the investigation to the Netherlands. The Dutch Security Council took the lead. Dutch Fong soon sent a special investigation team to Ukraine to investigate, but when they tried to enter the scene of the crime, they were prevented from doing so. In September 2014, The investigation team released a preliminary report of the investigation, saying that the plane did not send a distress signal before the crash. The plane's data was normal all the way through, but at the end the data recording suddenly stopped, and there is no evidence to suggest that the pilot had a problem. It's unlikely that the plane's mechanical failure that caused the plane to crash, the report also says. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was hit in the air by an object carrying a huge energy object that hit the plane, resulting in the loss of life. On October 13, 2015, the investigation team released the final report of this accident. Investigators ruled out the possibility of an explosion in the plane itself. The report states, Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was hit by a SAM-11 anti-aircraft missile. The plane was shot in the head. The bomb then caused the plane to break off in several pieces and then disintegrated in the air. The trajectory of the missile was recorded. The missile was launched in eastern Ukraine within a 320 square kilometer area, which happens to be controlled a civilian armed force in the east of the country. Ukraine's ambassador to the United Nations said if Russia had not provided the civilian militants with a navigation system powerful enough to shoot down the plane, Malaysia Airlines plane would not have crashed.